have noticed something shifting. The person who once consumed your thoughts is behaving strangely, not with remorse, not with quiet acceptance. Their reactions reveal something you already know. Deep in your spirit, you have won. Not because you destroyed them, not because you took revenge, but because you stopped playing a game that was rigged from the beginning. And that choice, that moment when you stepped away from their chaos and into your peace, that is when everything changed. If you are listening to this, you have walked through fire, you have questioned your sanity, you have wondered if you were the problem. There were nights when you replayed conversations over and over, trying to understand how words could twist so easily. There were moments when you caught yourself doubting your own memories, your own perceptions, your own worth. But something inside you refused to accept the distorted version of reality they were selling. That refusal saved you. Today, we are going to walk through the unmistakable signs that appear when you have truly defeated someone whose spirit operates through manipulation, deceit, and control. These are not just behavioral patterns. They are spiritual indicators. Evidence that you have disrupted a force that thrived in hidden places. As we explore each sign, you will recognize moments from your own journey. Some may sting, some may bring relief. All of them will confirm what you already know: you are free. As you go forward from this moment, carry this truth with you. Their defeat is not your mission. Your freedom is. Their behavior is simply the proof that the chains they forged could not hold you. So let us begin with the first sign. And I promise you, by the time we finish this conversation, you will understand why every painful moment was preparing you for this victory. The first sign appears almost immediately: an obsession with proving you wrong. Not simple disagreement, not healthy debate. An all-consuming mission to dismantle your credibility, discredit your character, and invalidate your lived experience. You will notice this in the smallest exchanges. You mentioned that your daughter received acceptance to a respected university. There is a brief pause. Then, instead of congratulations, you hear a dismissive tone. Well, you know that school's rankings have been declining. My friend's daughter got into Stanford. And honestly, college is overrated these days anyway. The conversation shifts. Your joy deflates. This is not about facts. This is about something darker. Or perhaps you are at a family gathering, sharing a story about a project you completed at work. Before you can finish, they interrupt. Actually, I read an article that said those methods are outdated now. The industry is moving away from that approach. You are not asking for their opinion. You are simply sharing a moment of accomplishment. But they cannot let it stand. Your rightness threatens something deep within them. At the core of this obsession lies a fragile ego that cannot withstand your competence. For someone whose entire identity rests on being superior, your success is an existential threat. They built their sense of self on a foundation of comparison. They are only good if you are bad. They are only right if you are wrong. They are only worthy if you are worthless. Your success shatters this delusion. When you accomplish something meaningful, when you make a wise decision, when you speak truth that resonates with others, their entire worldview cracks. Because if you can be right, if you can be valuable, if you can be worthy without their validation, then what does that say about the power they claim to have over you? This is the same pride that Scripture warns about throughout Proverbs. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. That is chapter 16, verse 18. But notice what follows pride destruction. Not your destruction, theirs. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote to the Corinthians about the weapons of our warfare. He knew that some battles are won not through argument, but through standing firm in truth. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 and 5 tell us, "The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God." Their obsession with being right is a stronghold, a fortress built on sand. And your refusal to defend yourself against their constant attacks is what causes that fortress to crumble. If you have experienced this, you know how exhausting it is, how crazy-making, how isolating. You start to question yourself. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I am the problem. But here's the truth you need to hear: your instincts were right. Their obsession with being correct was never about truth. It was about control. It was about keeping you small enough that they could feel big. It was about maintaining a hierarchy where they stood above you, looking down, judging, correcting, diminishing. So here's what this means for you today. When they try to pick apart your achievements, when they minimize your victories, when they twist your words, you do not need to defend yourself. You do not need to explain. You do not need to prove anything. Your peace is the evidence. Your growth is the proof. Your freedom is the victory. Proverbs chapter 26, verse 4 says, "Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him." In other words, you do not have to play a game that was rigged from the start. This obsession with being right is just the beginning. Because when proving you wrong does not work, when their arguments fall flat, when you refuse to engage, they shift tactics. And the second sign becomes unmistakable. They develop an intense need to compete with you in areas that once seemed beneath their notice. Suddenly, everything you do becomes a measuring stick for their own worth. If you mention taking a cooking class, they enroll in culinary school. If you start a small side business, they launch an elaborate venture. If you share that you have been attending a new church, they become deeply involved in a ministry, making sure everyone knows about their spiritual commitment. This is not inspiration. This is desperation. Let me paint you a picture. You have been quietly building something meaningful. Maybe it is a blog where you share your journey of healing. Maybe it is a community group where you help others navigate difficult relationships. Maybe it is simply a new hobby that brings you genuine joy. You have not made it a competition. You are simply living your life, creating something that reflects who you are becoming. Then one day, you notice they have started something remarkably similar. Same concept, same language, same energy, except theirs is bigger, louder, more public. At first, you might feel confused, then violated, then angry. Because this is not coincidence. This is calculation. They are watching your life, studying your movements, and using your growth as a blueprint for their performance. But here is what you need to understand. While you are building from authenticity, they are building from envy. While you are creating from purpose, they are copying from emptiness, and structures built on envy never stand. The Apostle James understood this spiritual reality when he wrote in chapter 3, verse 16, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." Notice the language: disorder, evil practice. This is not about healthy competition or mutual inspiration. This is about a spirit of rivalry that cannot celebrate another person's success without immediately trying to eclipse it. Their need to compete reveals the emptiness they are desperately trying to fill. Deep within them is a void, a place where identity should be, where self-worth should rest, where purpose should anchor. But instead of doing the hard work of building those things authentically, they scan the horizon for someone else's life to imitate, someone else's achievements to surpass, someone else's light to dim, so theirs appears brighter. You may have spent months questioning why they suddenly cared about things they once mocked, why they developed interests in areas they previously dismissed. The answer is simple. They do not care about those things. They care about erasing the evidence of your independence, as long as you were under their influence. They felt secure, but the moment you began creating a life separate from their control, building dreams they did not approve, finding joy they did not provide, their fragile sense of self began to fracture. So what do you do with this knowledge? You keep building, you keep creating, you keep growing. Because here's the truth they will never understand. Your value does not decrease because they attempt to copy it. Your light does not dim because they try to manufacture their own. In fact, their imitation is the highest form of evidence that what you are building threatens the false narrative they have constructed about you. Matthew chapter 5, verse 16 reminds us, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Notice it does not say, "Let your light shine unless someone tries to outshine you." It does not say, "Hide your gifts if they make others uncomfortable." Your assignment is to shine. Their response is not your responsibility. This brings us to something even more revealing. The third sign that you have truly defeated them. They begin an orchestrated campaign to control your narrative in social circles. This is where the battle moves from personal attacks to public manipulation. They start telling stories, sharing concerns, expressing worry about your well-being, and on the surface, it sounds caring, compassionate even. But underneath, it is character assassination dressed in concern. Picture this. You are at a church gathering. Someone you have known for years approaches you with a curious expression. "Hey, I heard you have been going through a really hard time. I just want you to know I am praying for you." You pause, confused. You are actually doing better than you have in years. What hard time are they referring to? Then it becomes clear. Someone has been planting seeds, sharing half-truths, creating a narrative where you are struggling, unstable, difficult, or perhaps you notice that mutual friends have become distant. Conversations that once flowed easily now feel strained. Invitations that used to come regularly have stopped. You wonder what changed. Then, through a trusted friend, you discover the truth. They have been sharing their version of your story, a version where they are the victim and you are the villain. A version where they tried everything to help you, but you were too broken, too angry, too unreasonable. This is not accidental. This is strategic. They understand that if they can control the narrative, they can isolate you. If they can paint you as unstable, your truth becomes questionable. If they can position themselves as the long-suffering friend or family member who endured your chaos, they gain sympathy while you gain suspicion. The pain of this particular tactic cuts deep because it attacks something sacred: your reputation, your character, the way others perceive you. And for those of us who value integrity, who have worked hard to live honorably, this feels like a violation of the highest order. You want to defend yourself. You want to tell your side. You want to gather everyone in a room and present evidence, witnesses, proof that you are not who they are claiming you are. But here is what Scripture teaches us about this exact situation. 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 19 through 23. For it is commendable if someone bears up under the pain of unjust suffering, because they are conscious of God. But how is it to your credit if you receive a beating for doing wrong and endure it? But if you suffer for doing good and you endure it, this is commendable before God. To this you are called, because Christ suffered for you, leaving you an example that you should follow in his steps. He committed no sin, and no deceit was found in his mouth. When they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judges justly. Let those words settle into your spirit. Jesus himself faced false narratives, false accusations, twisted truths, and his response was not a public relations campaign. It was silence before his accusers and trust in the one who knew the truth. This does not mean you never speak up. It does not mean you allow abuse to continue. But it does mean that your primary defense is not in controlling what others think. It is in living a life so consistent with truth that eventually the lies collapse under their own weight. The reason their narrative campaign will ultimately fail is because lies require constant maintenance. Truth simply is. They have to keep adding details, adjusting stories, managing perceptions. You simply have to keep living authentically. Over time, people notice inconsistencies. They observe that your life does not match the chaos they were told about. They see your peace, your growth, your kindness toward others. And the narrative begins to crack. Your assignment in this season is not to chase down every lie. It is to live so fully in your truth that the lies become obviously out of place. When people see you thriving, speaking with wisdom, treating others with grace, the stories about your instability lose credibility. When they witness your consistency over months and years, the emergency narratives lose urgency. Time is your ally. Truth is your defense. And God is your vindicator. Now, here's what happens next. When their attempts to prove you wrong fail, when their competition does not diminish you, when their narrative campaign does not isolate you, they move to a fourth sign: sudden silence, but not the peaceful kind. This is a weaponized absence, a strategic withdrawal designed to punish you for your independence. For months, maybe years, they were always present, always checking in, always involved in your decisions, your plans, your life. Their attention felt suffocating, but it was familiar. Then, seemingly overnight. They disappear. No calls, no texts, no acknowledgement of important dates or events. Birthdays pass without a word. Holidays come and go with silence. At first, you might feel relief. The constant pressure lifts. But then, if you are honest, you might feel something else. Doubt, worry, maybe even guilt. Did I do something wrong? Should I reach out? Are they okay? This is exactly the response they are hoping for. Because the silence is not about them moving on. It is about making you come back. It is a power play designed to make you feel the absence of their attention so acutely that you chase them. Apologize. Beg for reconciliation. They are waiting for you to break, to reach out, to prove that you cannot survive without them in your life. But here is what you must understand. This silence is a gift disguised as rejection. It is the space you needed, but were too afraid to claim. It is the boundary you should have set, but did not know how. It is the distance that allows you to finally hear your own voice without their constant commentary drowning it out. Think about the Israelites in the wilderness, Exodus chapter 14. They stood at the edge of the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army approaching from behind, trapped, terrified, questioning whether freedom was worth this fear. And Moses said to them in verse 13 and 14, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Their silence is your Red Sea moment. Behind you is the chaos you walked away from. Before you is an unknown future. And the silence feels like being trapped between two impossible choices. But if you can stand firm, if you can resist the urge to run back to what was familiar, you will see something miraculous. The very thing that felt like a threat becomes your pathway to freedom. During this silent season, you discover who you are without their input. You make decisions without their approval. You experience joy without their permission. You build relationships without their interference. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you realize something profound. You do not need them. You never did. What you needed was to believe in your own worth, to trust your own discernment, to value your own voice. Their silence gave you the space to find those things. So when the silence stretches on, do not break it out of fear. Do not reach out of guilt. Let the silence do its work. Let it reveal the truth. Let it create the distance necessary for healing. Because on the other side of this silence is a version of you that is stronger, clearer, more certain of who you are and whose you are. This leads us to the fifth sign. When they do break the silence, and they will, it comes with a strange energy. They reappear with either exaggerated friendliness or cold formality. There is no middle ground, no natural reconnection. It is performance. You might receive a message that is overly casual, as if no time has passed, as if the silence never happened. "Hey, just thinking about you. Hope you are doing well," or it arrives with stiff formality. "I wanted to reach out regarding a matter that requires your attention." Both extremes serve the same purpose: to regain access to your life while maintaining control of the narrative. The exaggerated friendliness is designed to make you feel like you overreacted to their absence. "See, they are fine. You are fine. Everything is fine. Why were you so upset?" It is gaslighting through cheerfulness. The cold formality is designed to punish you for not chasing them during the silence. You wanted distance. Fine. Now you get distance. But it is distance with an edge. Distance that reminds you of what you lost when you chose independence. Neither approach is authentic reconnection. Both are manipulation. And your response to this reappearance will determine whether the cycle continues or finally breaks. If you engage with the same energy you had before, if you pretend the silence never hurt, if you accept the casual or cold approach without addressing the pattern, you signal that their tactics work, that you can be controlled through withdrawal and selective attention. But if you respond with calm boundaries, if you acknowledge the silence and require accountability, if you refuse to pretend that everything is normal when it clearly is not, you signal something different. You signal that you have changed, that the power dynamic has shifted, that you are no longer available for relationships built on manipulation. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15 reminds us to speak the truth in love. This is not about being harsh or punitive. It is about being honest. If someone disappears from your life without explanation and then reappears expecting everything to resume as normal, love requires honesty. I noticed you have not been in contact. That is your choice, and I respect it. But if we are going to rebuild connection, we need to address what happened, not pretend it didn't. This kind of response terrifies them because it requires something they are not willing to give. Vulnerability, accountability, honest self-reflection. They would rather keep things surface level where they can maintain control. But you are no longer interested in surface level connection. You have tasted authentic relationship, authentic peace, and you cannot go back to performing in someone else's script. The sixth sign reveals itself in how they speak about their own life when they do reconnect. Everything is amazing, better than ever. They have new opportunities, new relationships, new successes, and they make sure you know about all of it. But here's what you notice if you pay attention. The details do not quite add up. The timeline seems rushed. The achievements feel exaggerated. The happiness seems performed. This is not genuine sharing. This is an attempt to make you feel like you made a mistake by walking away. Look at everything I am doing without you. Look at how well I am thriving. You thought you won. You thought leaving would hurt me. I am better than ever. But underneath the performance is panic. Because if you are not there to witness their success, validate their worth, or confirm their superiority, does it even count? They need you to see them winning because your perception still matters to them more than they will ever admit. And that need is the evidence of your victory. Because truly free people do not need to prove anything to anyone. Truly healed people do not build their joy on making others feel regret. Truly successful people do not measure their progress by someone else's response to it. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 2 tells us, "Let someone else praise you, and not your own mouth, an outsider, and not your own lips." The need to self-promote, to announce every victory, to make sure you know how well they are doing without you, reveals insecurity, not confidence. It reveals that you still occupy space in their mind that they wish you did not. Your response to their performance of success should be genuine happiness for them. Not because you believe the performance, but because you are no longer invested in their failure. Their success or lack thereof does not change your worth. Their thriving or struggling does not validate or invalidate your decision to choose peace. You can wish them well and still maintain your boundaries. You can hope they find genuine healing and still refuse to be the audience for their performance. This is the difference between bitterness and boundaries. Bitterness needs them to fail. Boundaries simply refuse to engage with the manipulation. You can hold both compassion for their brokenness and commitment to your own protection. These are not contradictory. They are mature. As time continues forward, you begin to notice the seventh sign. Others start seeing what you saw. The people who questioned your decision to step away, who thought you were too harsh or too sensitive, begin reaching out with quiet acknowledgments. I think I understand now. I see what you were talking about. I am sorry I did not believe you. These conversations are bittersweet. There is validation in being proven right, but there is also grief in knowing others had to experience pain to understand your truth. This is where grace becomes essential. When people finally see the patterns you tried to explain years ago, resist the urge to say, "I told you so." Instead, create space for their own awakening. They were not ready to see it before, just like you were not ready until you were. Truth has a timeline, and everyone moves at their own pace. Your role is not to force understanding, but to offer wisdom when it is finally welcomed. You will also notice that the person whose tactics you escaped begins to isolate. Not because you orchestrated it, but because patterns that work in private fail in public. When multiple people start recognizing the same behaviors, when different relationships begin showing the same fractures, the common denominator becomes clear, and slowly, the narrative they tried to build about you crumbles because others are now telling similar stories. This is not your victory to celebrate. It is simply confirmation that truth eventually surfaces. Romans chapter 12. Verse 19 reminds us, "Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, 'It is mine to avenge, I will repay,' says the Lord." You were never called to expose them. You were called to protect yourself. You were never called to destroy their reputation. You were called to live in your truth. The consequences they face are not your doing. They are the natural result of sowing manipulation and reaping isolation. So when others come to you with their own stories of betrayal or manipulation, listen with compassion. Share your wisdom when asked. But do not make their enlightenment about your vindication. Make it about collective healing, about breaking cycles, about creating communities where manipulation cannot thrive because people are awake, aware, and unwilling to participate in toxic dynamics. Now we come to the eighth and perhaps most profound sign. You stop checking. You stop wondering how they are doing. You stop looking at their social media. You stop asking mutual friends about them. Not because you're forcing yourself to move on, but because you genuinely have. This is not bitterness disguised as indifference. This is authentic freedom. There is a specific moment when this shift happens. You realize days have passed without them entering your thoughts. Then weeks, then months. You are building a life so full, so rich, so aligned with your purpose, that there is simply no room for obsessing over someone who chose manipulation over connection. This does not mean you have forgotten what happened. It means the story no longer defines you. Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 and 14 say, "Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Notice Paul does not say he has arrived. He says he presses on. Freedom is not a destination. It is a direction. And your direction is no longer toward them. It is toward the calling planted within you before you ever encountered their chaos. This forward movement is what terrifies them most. Because as long as you were looking back, as long as you were hurt or angry or obsessed with their behavior, they still had power. But the moment you stop looking back, the moment your energy shifts entirely toward building something new, they become irrelevant. And irrelevance is the ultimate defeat for someone whose identity depended on being the center of your world. The freedom you now carry is not something you achieved alone. Every step toward healing was supported by grace you did not earn and strength you did not manufacture. There were mornings when you woke up and chose to keep going, even though part of you wanted to give up. There were nights when you prayed prayers that felt like they hit the ceiling and bounced back. But those prayers were heard. That perseverance was honored. And now you stand in a place you once thought was impossible. As you continue walking forward, remember the lessons embedded in your journey. You learned that your worth is not determined by someone else's ability to recognize it. You learned that peace is more valuable than being right. You learned that boundaries are not punishment. They are protection. You learned that silence can be a gift. You learned that God's timing is perfect even when it feels painfully slow. These lessons are not just for you. They are seeds you will plant in others' lives when the time comes. When you have truly defeated someone whose spirit operates through manipulation, their reactions tell a story of fragility masked by aggression, of emptiness disguised as superiority, of a false self that cannot survive exposure to truth. But your story tells something different. A story of resilience built through suffering, of identity reclaimed through courage, of freedom purchased through the willingness to lose what was never truly yours. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." The face you saw was not the true enemy. It was a vessel for something larger, a spiritual battle for your mind, your heart, your destiny. And you won, not because you were stronger or smarter or more strategic. You won because you chose truth when lies were easier. You chose peace when chaos was familiar. You chose yourself when staying small felt safer. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139, verse 14. You are more than a conqueror through him who loves you. Romans chapter 8, verse 37. You are chosen, not forsaken. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. You are free indeed. John chapter 8, verse 36. These are not aspirational statements. These are declarations of who you have always been, even when their manipulation tried to convince you otherwise. The road ahead is not about forgetting. It is about integrating these lessons into wisdom. It is about using your freedom to build a life that reflects your true self, the person God created you to be before manipulation tried to reshape you into someone manageable, controllable, small, You are no longer that person. You have walked through the valley. You have faced the shadow. And you have emerged into light, not as a victim of their darkness, but as a victor in God's light. As you go forward from this moment, carry this truth with you. When doubt whispers that you made a mistake, remember the peace you carry now. When guilt suggests you should have tried harder, remember that you tried everything except abandoning yourself. When loneliness tempts you to settle for familiar dysfunction, remember that solitude and peace is better than company and chaos. You have noticed something shifting because something has shifted. The power they once held has dissolved. Not because you took it from them, but because you stopped giving it away. The control they once exercised has ended. Not because you fought them, but because you walked away from the battlefield. The defeat they now face is not your doing. It is the natural consequence of building an identity on manipulation rather than truth. And here is the final truth that matters most. In the end, it's not about who hurt you. It is about who healed you, and his name is Jesus. He saw you when you felt invisible. He valued you when others diminished you. He walked with you through every dark valley and brought you out into spacious places. Your victory was never about defeating another person. It was always about discovering that you belong to something greater than any human relationship. You belong to the one who created you with purpose, calls you by name, and will never leave you nor forsake you. That is the victory. That is the freedom. That is the truth that no manipulation can ever touch. You have won